Hello everyone, I am Ankan. So today let's see how we can print a pyramid pattern using C programming. So for this pattern, we will first take n as our input. So n will represent the number of rows in our pyramid, and the base of the pyramid will be of size 2 into n minus 1. 2 into n minus 1. So let's analyze this pattern. So as we can see, there are some spaces in front of each row. So in the first row, there are some spaces. So in this example, we have taken n equal to 5, and the number of spaces in front of the first row is equal to 4. And in the second row, there are 3 spaces in front of the row. In the third row, there are 2 spaces. In the fourth, only 1 space. And in the fifth row, there are no spaces in front of it. So using this pattern, we can say the ith row contains uh, n minus I spaces. So the number of spaces, let's say S, is equal to n minus I. So I here represents the row number, and if you substitute I equal to 1, that is for the first row, we will get 5 minus 1, which is equal to 4, and this is matching the number of spaces in the first row. Similarly, if you substitute I equal to 2, we will get 5 minus 2, which is 3. So it is matching the number of spaces in the second row. So this will always match the number of spaces that we need for any row. So using this formula, we can calculate the number of spaces that we need to print for each row. So once the spaces are done, we have to now print the cells. So let's see how we can do that. So let's count first how many cells are printed for each row. So in the first row, there is only one cell that is filled. So let's write it down here. So in the first row, there is only one cell that is filled. In the second row, there are 3 cells filled. In the third row, there are 5 cells filled. And in the fourth row, there are 7 cells filled. So using this pattern, we can say there are always odd number of cells filled, and we know the formula for the odd numbers. So if we want the ith odd number, we can say you can find it by this formula, 2 into I minus 1. So this is the formula for the odd numbers. So if you try to substitute I equal to 1, so you will get 2 into 1 minus 1. So 2 into 1 minus 1, so which is equal to 1. So this is matching the number of cells that needs to be filled in our first row. Similarly, if you substitute, let's say I equal to 3. So if you substitute I equal to 3, we will get 2 into 3 minus 1, which is equal to 6 minus 1, which is 5. So in the third row, there are 5 cells that needs to be filled. So this is matching. So using this formula, we can calculate the number of cells that needs to be printed or filled. So let's go through the code now. Let's try to write the code for this. So firstly, we will take n as our input. So n will be a integer, and we'll scan this input from the user. And once it is taken, then we have to iterate over the rows. So there are n rows in total. So let's run a for loop for n times. So for int, I will take I as our row number. So using that, we will get our formula. So let's take I less than or equal to n. There are n rows in total. Then we'll increment our I. Now for each row, we have to first print the spaces. So we have the formula for our spaces. So using this formula we can calculate the number of spaces that we need to print. So let's take that. So let's take one more for loop for this. Int j equal to 1, j less than or equal to n minus I. So I represents the row number. So these many spaces you have to print. So let's iterate till n minus I. Then j plus plus. So inside this we have to print spaces. So let's print it. So once the spaces are printed, we have to print the symbol. So let's take star as our symbol for now. So and we have the formula for the number of symbols that needs to be printed. That is the formula for the odd number. So this 2 into I minus 1. So let's take one more for loop and run it for 2 into I minus 1 times. J equal to 1, j less than or equal to 2 into n, 2 into I minus 1, then j plus plus. So inside this let's print some symbol, let's say star. So once the symbols are printed, we have to move to the next line. So for that we have to print a new line at the end of the row. So let's print that. So yes, once the new line is printed, we go to the next row and continue the process. So this is the code. Now let's try to run this and see if there are any bugs. Let's substitute n equal to 7. Okay, so we have got our output, and if you count the number of rows, so we have 7 rows and we have odd number of cells filled in each row. So this is matching our expected output. Let's try for some larger values of n. Let's say n equal to 15. Yeah, we are still getting the output. So this is matching our expected output. So yeah, this is the code, and hope you have liked the code. If there are any doubts, you can comment it out in the comment section. I will reply to those. So thank you so much. Goodbye.